I want to show what I found with these motors in these medium duty trucks. I don't know about the newer stuff. I'm talking like 2000 and newer. I think it's still the same. I don't know for sure, but all the earlier stuff, when they put a motor in a medium duty truck, all of them have an SAE bell housing. I'm glad somebody decided to do that. I don't know who it was. I'd like to research it a little bit. But that bell housing is standard. Right there is standard size. Now, this motor came with an Allison automatic transmission behind it. See, right there's the torque converter. And they made the transmission, that part, with an SAE housing around the outside. Now the bolt pattern is the same on all of these. The length, the depth is the same. What I had concerns about when I first bought my new one was everybody said, well, you're going to have to get a manual transmission flywheel because they're different. Well, that's not true. I've bought a couple of these motors so far, and all they did was to adapt the automatic to this motor. Was down inside of here, where I can't see very well, but they come right off the back of the flywheel right there, and that is a manual transmission flywheel. So they take and space out the flex plate to whatever they need for whatever transmission is. I got a couple of these now, and they put that spacer in there to space the flex plate out far enough to bolt up to the torque converter. And all you got to do is take those bolts out of the flex plate going in. That holds that spacer, this flex plate, the spacer, and the flywheel all together. Take them bolts out, go get shorter bolts so you can bolt up the flywheel, and then you can bolt your manual 14-inch clutch right up to that flywheel, and you're good to go. You don't have to get anything but shorter bolts. So it's pretty cool what they did here. You know, messing around with all sorts of trucks, any of your big three, Dodge, Chrysler, Ford, and Chevy, you wouldn't dare think of doing any of that stuff. You know, swapping transmissions and motors and having stuff bolt right up. I'm telling you, this stuff will bolt right up. They also put this ring here was the spacer in between the motor and transmission to space everything out far enough, because this is a bigger torque converter than the one that I seen before. So that they adapt everything to the same bell housing, and they're the same. It don't matter what motor it's behind, they're all the same, which makes it really nice. And I'll show that in try to show that in another video, breaking the rest of this stuff down. But this is this motor was in a the earlier video was in a Ford F700 is what this is. A Ford motor and an Allison transmission, but the bell housings are all the same. It don't matter whether it's a Ford motor, a Cat motor, a Cummins, it don't matter. The Detroit, it don't matter what motor it is. They all have the same SAE bell housing, which makes it really nice if you want to do like what I'm doing, buy a whole bunch of parts, put everything together, and then you have something. This is your standard 14-inch clutch. It's not super heavy duty, but it's what you need when messing around with these medium duty trucks. to bolt everything together. Your input splines, from what I've been messing around with in the transmissions, are all the same size and all the same lengths. This clutch actually came off of that flywheel that was on the back of a 7.2 liter Cat, a 3126. So I mean, the center bolt pattern is going to be different for each motor, but the bolt circle bolt pattern where the clutch bolts to the flywheel is all the same for all the flywheels. They standardized it, which really, that's why I wanted to point this out. It just simplifies everything. And then this is a Eaton 5-speed. Don't recall what model it is, but from, of course, from here back is the transmission, and they have a bell housing adapter to the transmission to bolt it to an SAE bell housing on the motor side, so the two will bolt together. And they set everything up on the front side there. Your output shaft is set up where it needs to be, and your throw out bearing, but this pattern around the outside is all the same. So I'm going to take this transmission, which originally came in a 3126 Cat, and that 14-inch flywheel, 14-inch clutch, and bolt it behind that motor that had an automatic transmission, and everything will bolt right up. Like I said, you got to get shorter bolts for the flywheel, but you don't even have to turn the flywheel, because the flywheel hasn't had a manual clutch bolted to it. So all you got, the surface is in excellent shape, well, it's in brand new shape, because all it's been doing is been a spacer to, it isn't even driving the flex plate. The center bolts are the one driving the flex plate.